Alright, these are the I do, you do answers for addition and subtraction of integers. This is 7 plus negative 15. The way I try to teach it is they're not on the same team when you're adding these together, so they don't get along, so they fight each other. So what we do is we actually subtract their absolute value. 15 minus 7 gives us a difference of 8. And then we look back and see which one had a larger absolute value. The absolute value of 7 is 7. The absolute value of negative 15 is 15. So this one had a bigger absolute value. We use that sign. The answer is negative 8. Now another way you can show it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positives meet up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 negatives. These two guys fight and kill each other off, and these two fight and kill each other off, and really this whole group fights and kills each other off, and what are we left with? We're left with negative 8. Second one is 5 minus negative 6. Well, the way I teach that is we're not going to do subtraction in 7th grade. We're just introducing integers and how to work with them. So we're going to change each subtraction problem into leave, change, opposite. Leave the first one alone, change minus to plus, and then go to the opposite. So what's the opposite of negative 6? Positive 6. Now your problem is 5 plus 6, which is more of a first grade problem, right? 5 plus 6 is 11. Now, we really should be thinking about positive 5 and positive 6. They're on the same team, so we get 11. So kind of like that last one, positive 5 would look like this. They meet up with positive 6. And they don't fight each other. They just make one larger group of positive 11. Next problem, negative 10 minus 7. Well, leave, change, opposite gets me negative 10 plus negative 17. Now I'm looking to see if they match or not as far as their sides. They're on the same team. They're all on team negative, so I add their absolute value. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. We add them together and get 17. Then we look back and say, what team were they on? Well, they were all on team negative, so my answer is negative 17. Kind of start to think about it as a number line as well. Negative 10 would be back in here somewhere, right? And then you're subtracting 7, so that means you're going on back left 7. Does that make sense? So from that negative 10, you'd be going to negative 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 off the page at negative 17. One mistake that people make when they learn that leave, change, opposite, and they start changing subtraction problems is they start changing every problem. We're only changing subtraction problems. It's kind of like when we do fractions. The only one that we flip to the reciprocal and multiply is when we're doing division fractions. We don't change the other problems. So this one is an addition problem. We're not changing it. It's ready. We can do addition problems. We just look to see if they're on the same team. They are not on the same team. They're fighting each other. Who wins this battle? If you think about that, aren't there more on team negative? So I subtract their absolute values. 16 minus 3 is 13. And since there are more on team negative, the negatives win it by 13. Of course, you could look at it like a number line, right? Positive 3 would be a movement over here over to positive 3. But then you're taking away 16, which once again is get you off the page over here at negative 13. That's plus a negative 16 or a left movement of 16. Negative 5 plus negative 3, we're not changing this again because we can do addition. So this is the problem we're looking at. We're looking at it saying, do they have the same sign? Yeah. They have a negative and a negative. They are both on team negative. So we add their absolute value. 5 plus 3 is 8. And then we use the sign of the sign that they both have. They're both on team negative, so we are at negative 8. Negative 4 minus negative 15. This is one we're changing because we don't do subtraction. We do leave, change, opposite. Then we determine if they're on the same team or not. They're not on the same team. So when these guys get together, they're going to fight each other. 15 and 4 fight each other, so they're going to be subtracted instead of added. We end up with 11. And then we look back to see who wins. Were there more on team negative or more on team positive? There were more on team positive, so your answer is positive 11. We have our answer. Now we have several pieces, one of which is subtraction, one of which is addition. So I'm going to start by doing leave, change, opposite, and I only change the subtraction problem. So leave, change, the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. Then what I find most of my students want to do, since we can add in any order, is they like to get their teams together next. So they're going to get team negative together. A negative 6 and a negative 5 meet up. They don't fight. We add and use that same sign. Remember, I'm adding their absolute value. So really I'm just doing second grade math again. 6 plus 5 is 11. Then I look back and say, oh, but those 11 are all on team negative. Now they meet up with these 4 positives. Now they don't get along, right? Now they battle. So that we don't add them, we subtract them. 11 minus 4. You notice I'm using their absolute value. I get 7. And then I go determine who wins. The absolute value of negative 11 is 11. The absolute value of 4 is 4. So this is the larger absolute value, so I use the sign that went with that. The negatives win this battle by 7. Again, I have another one with 3 parts, so I'm going to go ahead and do leave, change, opposite. Now on this one, this is what I'm leaving, because that's the one that's in a subtraction problem. I'm changing it, and the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. I get my teams together. These guys are all in team negative, so they're not going to fight. I add their absolute value. 9 plus 4 is 13, so I have 13 that are on team negative, and I have 2 that are on team positive. So again, now they fight. They don't get along, so we take 13 minus 2 because they're killing each other off. We get an answer of 11. And then we go back and determine which one has a larger absolute value. Negative 13 has a larger absolute value, so that's the sign that we choose, and our answer is negative 11. Think about it. If you had positive 2 meeting up with negative 13, these guys kill each other off, but we're still left with 11 negatives.